CNBC TV 18 और इंटेल प्रेजेंट बूस्ट योर बिजनेस में एक बार फिर आपका स्वागत है। ये एक ऐसी सीरीज है जिसके माध्यम से हम SMEs के बीच टेक्नोलॉजी और उससे होने वाले फायदे के बारे में जागरूकता फैला रहे हैं। आइए चलते हैं मुंबई में स्थित बिजोंगो के ऑफिस, जहां मौजूद है मेरे सहयोगी गौतम श्रीनिवासन, जो ये पता लगा रहे हैं कि कैसे ये कंपनी टेक्नोलॉजी का इस्तेमाल करके अपने पैकेजिंग सॉल्यूशंस के काम को नई ऊंचाइयों पर ले जा रही है।
नवीनता से भरपूर एवं भारत के 40 अरब डॉलर की पैकेजिंग इंडस्ट्री में अवसर पैदा करने वाला बिजोंगो विभिन्न प्रकार के बिजनेसेस को पैकेजिंग एवं मटेरियल हैंडलिंग सॉल्यूशंस की पहचान करने, खरीदने और बेचने में उनकी मदद कर रहा है। कंटेनर हो, बैग हो, बक्से या पाउच, मुंबई स्थित ये ऑनलाइन मार्केटप्लेस B2B पैकेजिंग की हर प्रक्रिया जैसे डिजाइन से लेकर डेवलपमेंट और पैकेजिंग की खरीद तक सबका ख्याल रखता है। बिजोंगो का लक्ष्य पैकेजिंग को अधिक कार्यात्मक और टिकाऊ बनाने में एक प्रमुख भूमिका निभाना है और साथ ही बिजनेस की लागत कम करना और समय बचाने में उनकी मदद करना है।
Hi Ankit. Thank you so much for taking the time. Great to meet you. Now our viewers have a fair idea now of what Bizongo does. But let's rewind to understand how it all began. Packaging, how did you get into it?
I think we started 3 years back. We were three of us, and we started with a very singular and focused aim of actually making businesses more efficient with technology. That is what we started with. We had a very simple idea. We thought, at that time there were a lot of B2C companies coming up. We thought as a consumer, I can today order on Flipkart and get something to my home. As a business who procures like in billions, why am I not able to do the same? And why doesn't it work so seamlessly? Then we started looking at very different categories. We looked at a lot of categories, from raw material to your consumer goods to your jewelry. But when we stumbled upon packaging, we kind of realized that this is a very innovative industry. Very, very innovative industry, but at the same time, industry which works completely offline. Probably the technology penetration in this industry is something which is very, very low. It's a traditional industry with, like, you will find in India itself, there are 30,000 manufacturers. Small manufacturers to large manufacturers who have a lot of problem statements, as well as, we thought that technology could help them, and that is how we started, and that is why we kind of chose packaging, and that is where our journey began.
All right, so that's the logic. But over the past 3 years, how has the growth story been? Share some of the performance metrics.
Sure. So in the past 1.5 years itself, we've grown 20x in our revenue. We have increased for all our products, we have increased all our metrics by at least a 10x. In general, looking at our sales, as well as the adoption metrics for all our products with our consumers, as well as our buyer side, as well as our manufacturers, has been at least 10x. So that's the amount of growth that we've seen in the past 1.5 years.
All right. So let's take a tour of your offices and continue this conversation, shall we? Right, Ankit, you have been telling us about how you brought a lot of unorganized players into the online marketplace and help them sell better to customers. But if you look at the packaging industry in general, it's been a bit behind the curve when it comes to technology adoption and with what you do. What are some of the challenges that you have faced?
I think initially when you start in an industry which is pretty unorganized, the first challenge you face is that mindset change, right? It's you have to be able to convince them that this technology or a product or a platform will actually make it easier for them to sell. The first hurdle there is that you are changing their routine, or you are telling them to do something different than what they're very used to. So that was one of the largest or biggest challenges that we faced while pitching to them or telling them that adopt our platform, come sell on with us. We will be able to give you a better reach. We'll be able to make it more efficient for you.
All right. And so take us through how you dealt with that challenge. How did you manage to convince them, and how you managed to use technology to your advantage?
So I think after they started using, or we kind of overcome the challenges by giving them demos, by making them understand that how exactly the process that we're following in the offline world, how will it happen on that platform, and when it happens on that platform, what are the use cases of how it becomes better for them. Once they start using it, when they start understand, and once they see the results of that process in first 1 or 2 transactions, they begin to
They
kind
begin
of
to come
soften
around
up.
and
Yeah,
say, okay,
yeah.
we can work under
Yeah,
this
yeah, yeah.
under this structure and see
This-
how things progress.
They start saying that this does make a little bit more sense.
How have you balanced profitability with affordability? That's the big question which any small and medium business will have to address when it comes to technology. So how have you addressed that?
So we build most of our technology ourselves. We have a large team which builds most of our products in-house. Whenever we have to use a product which is not built by us, we use it with that in mind, that we're using something which is already built, and we will probably not be adding a lot of value by building it again. Unless something is available at a reasonable cost, we'll use it, otherwise we'll build it ourselves.
Building your own, tech in-house is not as easy as it sounds.
Absolutely, I think we have a brilliant team in-house that does a pretty good work for us. But at the same time, you always have to do a lot more iterations than probably you would do if you just take something. And that iteration takes time. So it's frustrating sometimes, but at the end of the day, it gives you a lot of value.
And in terms of employee productivity, since you are technology native as a business, how do you see technology improving employee productivity for you here?
I think what we preach, we follow in-house as well. We try to make sure that we have processes and products around whatever we do, from recruitment to our sales processes. We have a product called Lead Plus for our sales processes. We have a product for recruitment. Some of them are built by us. We have an entire order management system that we've built in-house, which manages all the orders that come. For the finance team as well, we have a platform on our admin panel. We have supply chain integrations with all of our partners. So all of that is online for us. We make sure that even when we're working in-house, from managing orders to managing supply chain to managing finance, we try to make it.
So you have technology for every function that you operate under to make things better. But one question that I have for you is, how did your transition to the GST regime happen? Because your company is 3 years old, and this big change happened at that point in time. So how did you manage that transition?
So when actually GST was coming into effect, for 3-4 months before that, we actually had a team working on it. Our finance team leading it with engineering per se, to figure out what all changes we will have to do in our products, as well as what we could offer to our sellers on the seller product, to make sure that the transition becomes very easy. I would tell you that for us, frankly, because we started 4 months back and we made sure that we had that, it was a 4-month project for us, with engineering as well as finance working together. But at the end of the day, the transition was pretty smooth for us. We did not see a lot of hiccups. We did not see a lot of, there were obviously a lot more things that finance has to do in terms of how GST works. But I personally feel by bringing all of that online with GST, it has become much easier now that the transition period is gone.
And you're going to be ready for any other changes as well. Absolutely. All right, and one last question. What would be your key message be to other small and medium businesses in terms of using technology to drive their business forward?
I think I would only have one very specific message, that technology always increases efficiency. Process coupled with technology. I think a lot of the SMEs that work right now they start with the process. They start with the offline process, they start with certain processes of how their business has to grow, business has to, move forward. But at the end of the day, if you combine that with technology, making sure that those processes are online, you get efficiency, you get reach, you get that one view for everybody to be able to look at and drive. The entire collaboration part, the entire transparency part becomes very, very easy. And that propels your growth. As I was talking before, that kind of propels your growth to a large extent. The amount of time that you would probably take to do something, that becomes at least half or less than that.
All right, technology to propel your growth. We'll wrap up this conversation on that positive note. Thank you so much for speaking with us, Ankit. But we've got one more thing left to do. So let's see what that is. Well, Ankit, it's been a very revealing experience for both me and the viewers in understanding how Bizongo uses technology to drive itself forward. As a small token of our appreciation, we'd like to present you with a laptop, an HP ProBook 440 G5 from our OEM partner, and a software solution to go with it from Securite, our software solutions partner. Thank you so much for taking the time.